Newswatch 2 randomly called 1,000 registered voters statewide to see if we could get a preview of what will transpire in the final poll, the one by the voters in tomorrow's election. Here's what we learned. In the congressional races, both incumbents appear to have the elections wrapped up. 2nd District Congressman Dan Marriott has led Democratic challenger Ed Firmage throughout the race, and with 57% of the voters surveyed picking him, looks a winner. So does 1st District incumbent Gun McKay, with a 30-point lead over Republican Jed Richardson. In the county races, it looks like 2 for the Republicans and 2 for the Democrats. Sheriff's Captain Pete Hayward has widened his lead over Sheriff's Captain Nick Morgan since our last poll. Hayward is a Democrat. And Mayor Wilson's aide Fred Diana, also a Democrat, has edged ahead of talk show host Bob Salter in the 2-year county commission seat race. Republican incumbent Bill Dunn has a comfortable lead over Democrat Rex Black for the 4-year county commission seat. And in the county attorney's race, it's the Republican Ted Cannon ahead of Democrat Brent Cameron, with 25% of the voters still undecided. And finally, the opposition is winning its fight against Proposition 1, according to our survey. 47% of the voters we polled said they'd vote against unifying Salt Lake City and county government. Allison Hayron, Newswatch 2.
Now, the numbers you saw in that report are the result of a special election poll taken just 24 hours ago by John Clark. He and his associates spent most of last night and today tabulating the results from those 1,000 voters called. John's here right now with Sandy Gilmore.
Well, Terry, as we mentioned on the 6 o'clock news, the consolidation unification poll is, I think, just startling. Things have changed since our last poll of October 17th, when we showed it winning by four points, and now we show it losing by 13 points. When your pollsters interviewed voters by phone, what reasons do these voters give in opposing unification?
The biggest reason is apparently that the opponents claim that unification would bring big government to Salt Lake County is believed by a majority of the voters in the county.
And once again, now, which side are voters believing the most? Are they believing the proponents?
No, the opponents' side, claiming that unification is too expensive and will bring unresponsive government, is being believed much more.
The majority of people just do not believe the pro-unification story that this will cut taxes.
Our poll showed that, yes.
All right, now the big races seem heavily favored for the incumbents. So do we have any other exciting races, any close calls, any upsets in the works?
The 2-year county commission race was the one with the most movement that our poll showed. Since October, Mr. Salter has lost his 8-point lead, and Mr. Diana is now 4 points ahead, or 5 points ahead of Mr. Salter.
And again, are these predictions? Are you predicting what's going to be happening tomorrow, or could things change?
No, even though this poll was taken last night on Sunday, one of the big problems we have is turnout, and this year with no statewide races, it looks like turnout could do anything to any race, and I don't think we're calling any races at this time.
And that could throw off the results of all the polls.
Depending on who votes, anything could happen, yes.
Okay, thanks a lot, John. And Pat, as you know, our election coverage starts at 7 p.m. tomorrow night. John and I will be here to hopefully project the winners early based on early returns from key voter districts.
A lot of other people will be here also. Thanks, Cindy. Salt Lake police at this hour are investigating an apparent murder in the city's lower avenues. Larry Warren is just back with details. Larry?
Patrick, a man in his mid-20s, was the victim. Police were called in after friends of the victim stopped at his apartment to check up on him. They hadn't seen or heard from him since Friday. That may be when he was stabbed to death.
The man is obviously dead. He has been for quite some time. He has 2 stab wounds in the chest just below the right breast, a secondary stab wound at the base of the throat, and appears to be his throat was cut.
Is there a sign of a scuffle?
There's no sign of a scuffle. He's in the bedroom, and the bedroom is in disarray. The drawers from the dresser are dumped onto the floor.
Police found a foot-long butcher knife in the pile of clothes on the floor. When his friends arrived, they found the door ajar, but the neighbors apparently didn't hear anything suspicious. And Patrick, when I left just a few minutes ago, police were still on the scene investigating.
Thanks, Larry. Who earns what at Weber State College? Well, the college newspaper wants to know, but the administration won't say. The controversy has now turned into a legal battle. Michael Rawson explains.
Does a state college professor paid by taxpayers have the right to keep his salary private? Weber State College President Rodney Brady says he does, but the college newspaper says he doesn't. The signpost has been battling the college administration since last March for release of faculty and staff salaries. The public has a right to know, says signpost editor John Redding.
I think people are concerned. I think taxpayers are now beginning to take an interest in what happens with their money.
Last week, Redding filed suit against the college for access to the salaries.
The Utah State Records Committee last year classified all state employee salaries as public information. Attorney General Robert Hansen is on that committee, yet his office has advised the Weber State president not to release college salaries.
I have concluded that the state, the college, and I as an individual could be faced with civil liability from those whose civil liberties and rights to privacy would be invaded by release of the information that the signpost had requested.
I don't see how it can be a violation. Myself, personally, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't see how it can be a violation of a person's civil liberties disclosing how much money they're making if you remember that that money comes out of the pockets of the taxpayers.
Jerry Bernstein is one professor who thinks it may be a good idea to disclose faculty salaries. Bernstein says it would show the public how poorly paid Weber State professors are.
Oh, I think there would be some inequity shown comparing us with the University of Utah in particular, or Utah State. I don't think there would be any opposition to showing that, and I think many would even welcome it here.
Redding says he doesn't want to embarrass professors, and if he wins the lawsuit, he may choose not to publish the salaries. It's the principle, not the salary, that the editor says is at issue. Michael Rawson, Newswatch 2, Weber State College.
Military government in power tonight in Iran.
And police arrest a suspect in one of the biggest bank heists ever. We got those stories coming up.
There's only one thing better than skiing Snowbird. That's skiing Snowbird for half price. Only $6 a day or less with Snowbird season tickets on sale now at Mountaineer Sports in Trolley Square and at Snowbird. Packed or powder, steep and deep, short easy trails or long rolling runs. Snowbird is for people who love skiing and things to do after skiing. Special savings too on family season tickets, ski school lessons, and season ski lockers. But hurry, the sale ends November 12th. Snowbird half price season tickets.
Thanksgiving doth not mean turkeys at R.C. Willey's, Pilgrim. Nay, instead it meaneth great buys on dining room groups during R.C. Willey's big Thanksgiving dining room clearance. Plus, thou wilt receive from 10% to 40% off already low prices, and there's over 70 styles from which thou may choose. French, country, contemporary, Mediterranean, colonial, and many others. I pray thee, don't miss this big dining room clearance at both R.C. Willey stores now, but thou shalt not shop on Sunday, Pilgrim.
Yet another Utah State prisoner has walked away. 32-year-old Joseph Lee Affadaka was serving 0 to 5 years for burglary. Affadaka has been in prison 8 months. Prison officials said the inmate was at home on a special visit pass and didn't come back. Well, last week, Sandy Gilmore reported on Newswatch 2 that 67 prisoners have escaped so far this year, so today's walk-off brings that number to 68, plus 3 more who fled from hospital care. The police have criticized the loose security of prison rehabilitation programs. Terry?
Millions of dollars, thousands of diamonds, a Swiss bank account, a Russian trading firm, and a smuggling operation. Sounds like a James Bond thriller, but the FBI calls it one of the biggest bank swindles it has ever handled. And today, 32-year-old Stanley Rifkin was arrested as the mastermind.
This is the Los Angeles apartment of Stanley Rifkin, the man the FBI arrested for allegedly stealing more than $10 million from a bank by computer. Rifkin was a self-employed computer consultant, and inside his apartment, authorities found several pieces of data processing equipment purchased a short time ago. The FBI said Rifkin masterminded the complex plan and worked alone. A spokesman said Rifkin began the scheme by calling Security Pacific Bank in Los Angeles and by using a secret computer code number, transferred $10.2 million to a Swiss bank account. He allegedly used most of it to buy diamonds from a Russian trading firm and planned to resell them in the United States.
Intricate information. The average person on the street could not have done this. The average banker could not have done this. The average diamond expert could not have done this. This had to be an individual who has superb training, and he exercised that judgment when he did what he did.
Rifkin is charged with interstate transportation of stolen property. Meredith Lewis, NBC News.
First military government in 25 years is in control of Iran tonight, and the capital of Tehran has the appearance of a city under siege. The new military regime was placed in power today by the Shah after he made a rare nationwide broadcast speech appealing for support during what he termed the critical days ahead. The change of the government follows a weekend of the worst violence Iran has seen in years. Jim Bitterman reports.
Streets of Tehran this morning after the worst rioting here in a decade. Yesterday, troops had battled thousands of anti-Shah demonstrators who set fire to shops, government offices, theaters, and liquor stores. Banks were among the most frequent targets. Demonstrators pulled bank records into the streets and burned them. In many places, fires burned throughout the night. At the British Embassy, a building was set fire. Some protesters tried to reach the American embassy, but were turned back by Army troops. This morning, smaller groups of demonstrators were being dispersed by rifle-firing troops. In the face of the continuing violence, the two-month coalition government has resigned. Meanwhile, martial law hours have been extended in anticipation of still further violence. Jim Bitterman, NBC News, Tehran.
Incidentally, it has been learned that the United States were prepared to send American troops to Iran to train the Shah's forces in riot control. It is not known if the plan is still under consideration. And in a related matter, Energy Secretary James Schlesinger said in Tokyo today that the crisis in Iran threatens that country's oil production, which could bring an oil shortage and a price hike.
Wall Street seems to be on a roller coaster ride that won't quit. One day it hits an all-time high, the next day it crashes to a new low. Dave Simpson of the Tulsa Tribune says if you run with the bulls and the bears, you're sure to get stomped.
How'd it go today on Wall Street, dear?
I don't think we're going to get stomped by our weather, though.
It's going to be nice for a few more days. For sure, that's what Mark says. He's up next.
All Savers Clubs are not alike. At Deseret Federal, you won't find a fancy club room or excessive deposit requirements. $25 can start your membership in the Deseret Federal Savers Club, offering you discounts at over 120 restaurants, stores, theaters, and hotels right here in Utah, and countless others in 37 cities across the nation. The Deseret Federal Savers Club. Just another reason our savers think we're number one.
Please, annual photo and sound savings event of the year is now in progress. See special clinics and demos by factory reps, free drawings, spectacular savings during Inkley's great event, now in progress. How do you like your pictures? Close up, medium close, long shot, or something in between? It's so easy now to take the shot you want without changing lenses with the compact 85 to 210 millimeter f4.5 Pro Zoom lens from Inkley's. A $180 value, now only $119.95 with universal mount. In limited quantity now at Inkley's.
Fall sale days are on at Ultimate Furniture. We're giving away lots of free gifts with every complete waterbed purchased. During this sale, receive a free Good Vibrations massage system, a complete set of waterbed sheets, interest-free 90-day financing, free delivery and installation of every waterbed sold in Salt Lake, Utah, and Davis counties. With $75 in free values being given away with every complete waterbed purchase, can you afford not to consider that new waterbed you've always wanted? See us today. Sleep in your new bed tonight. Ultimate Furniture in Sugar House.
Our little cats from Lincoln Mercury are tough on competition. Our Zephyr has better EPA ratings for mileage and interior room than Toyota Corona Deluxe. Yet when comparably equipped, Zephyr's priced about $400 less. That's great, Zephyr. Our Monarch has handsome styling, luxurious, and it's ride engineered. Yet Monarch's priced over $350 less than a comparably equipped Cutlass Salon. That's class, Monarch. You'll find big values at the sign of the little cat.
I happened to be watching last night when Clayton Bruff did the weather and committed you to telling all of us what the month of November was going to be like.
That is easy.
It is?
You bet.
I thought I'd stump you on that one.
The month of November in Salt Lake normally produces 1.31 hundredths inches of water. 30-day forecast, drier than usual.
Oh, no.
6.2 inches of snow, less than usual.
Oh.
How's that?
I wish I hadn't heard it.
Did I commit?
You're committed.
I committed. Outside, do you care about the bus station? If you do, it is 65 degrees outside the bus station and 74 in. The winds are south at 7. There are some high clouds outside, none inside. Temperatures in the eastern part of the country, super warm today, 70s and 80s, unusual, almost record-breaking. Behind it, in comes a cold high pressure, 11 in Bismarck, 11 at Big Piney on the cold side. Palm Springs, that's the place to be today, 91 degrees compared to Fairbanks, 16. Around the Intermountain West, temperatures, they were close to usual. They weren't anything spectacular. The high in Salt Lake, 59, the average, 55. 17 this morning in Logan. Cedar City was 30. And Evanston, 13 degrees. The satellite picture shows an awful lot of clouds trying to come over, but the old high pressure is here in the west, and the jet stream winds are flying into the north, and these clouds kind of come draping by. Occasionally a high, thin wispy comes by, but no big deal. I'll tell you what, the moon reaches its full phase about the 14th or 15th of the month. Well, computer studies have indicated that when the moon reaches its fullest stage, within 3 days afterwards, the biggest storms of the month oftentimes hit. Not always, but oftentimes. So if you're looking for a big storm, it'll probably be after the full moon coming up a week from now. Forecast for the Intermountain Zone, jet stream winds to the north, clouds, rain, and showers along the west coast, but nothing but sunshine or high, thin clouds here. Kind of cool at night, 20s and 30s and a few teens, but tomorrow, 50s, 60s, and even a few 70s around Moab and St. George. Along the Wasatch Front, it'll be near frosty this evening, temperatures dropping down to the lower 30s in many locations. Tomorrow, reaching up around 60 or 61 with fair skies. By Wednesday, increasing clouds in the afternoon. I'm afraid that first front will be a dry one, and one coming through Thursday afternoon may produce a few showers. We're backing off on that now, but looks like it definitely will turn colder and a few clouds going by.
They're not going to show up in the bus station, though, are they?
I hope not.
Okay, thank you, Mark. BYU's quarterback is the player of the week again.
And Reese Stein takes a look at the buffalo hunt, unique in the state of Utah, and Bill Marcroft's up next.
It's no secret. Southeast Free Delivery serves a wide circle of friends. People from Logan, Price, and Vernal, Rock Springs, Richfield, Ogden, and Provo. Mike Nesbitt is Southeast Delivery Supervisor. He carefully inspects each order. And when your order arrives, it must meet your personal satisfaction. That's part of Southeast's worry-free shopping policy.
Values are better at Southeast and Sugar House.
Alice, I just bought a Toro snow thrower.
A snow thrower, Ralph?
I can see it now. Right where we're standing, I'll be throwing snow 15 feet. I'll be clearing this driveway in minutes.
But Ralph, Ralph, why a Toro snow thrower now?
Why? Because I saved $30. I saved $30 and got myself a Toro snow.
Oh, Ralph.
Available at Speeds in Salt Lake City and A&M Mower and Cyclery, Ogden.
Come on, son, you better eat a good breakfast. Hey, you better start using my razor, too.
Oh, come on, Dad. Hi, McDonald's has good news. With scrambled eggs and sausage, or an Egg McMuffin, or hotcakes and sausage, you get a Gillette Good News disposable twin blade razor free.
Good thing it's a twin blade with that tough beard.
Come on, Dad. Free Good News razor.
We do it all for you.
You'll find 4 big pages of super toy savings in our toy sale ad in your Sunday, November 5th paper. Save $4 on Snuggles Dolls by Ideal. Your choice only $8.99, or Mr. Mouth by Tomy. The action-packed game for the whole family. Regularly $8.99, now only $6.49. Don't miss all 4 pages of super toy savings today through Wednesday at Grand Central.
Come save with your friends at Grand Central, your Let's Go Savings Store.
Okay, how many rounds are there?
in a European boxing title fight?
Well, is it more than in our regular World Championship fight?
Well, I ask you the question. You're
Well,
asking
I need
me
a clue.
Huh?
I need a hint.
No,
I'd say 12 rounds.
It is 12. It was 15, same as everywhere else, except today. The move was changed today to improve safety conditions. Title fights now in Europe will be just 12 rounds. There's a hue and cry in Europe to stop boxing.
How does it improve safety conditions?
Because you're not fatigued, and the chances of being injured, supposedly, are heightened when you are tired and fatigued. You know, the Baltimore Colts got their quarterback back tonight, Burt Jones. He still had a sore, dislocated shoulder. He wouldn't shake hands with his right arm, but he could throw touchdown passes with it, 3 of them, as the Baltimore Colts beat the Washington Redskins tonight 21-17. And BYU quarterback Jim McMahon is the WAC Offensive Player of the Week for the 2nd time this season. Now, the former Roy High School All-Stater completed 24 of 36 passes for 317 yards in the Cougars' 48-14 win over Wyoming on Saturday. You know, the Utah buffalo hunt, a sport which got out of hand and just about killed off the species, exists only in one place in the country these days. It's in southern Utah, and Reese Stein was there for the opening of the 15th edition of Utah's bison hunt on Saturday.
On the eve of the hunt, the 20 Utahns and 2 out-of-staters are briefed by state big game biologist Jim Bates and USDA veterinarian Dr. Robert Hedelius, who has monitored the herd for diseases since the 1963 brucellosis breakout. The herd has remained healthy since. These hunters have paid $100 apiece above their license and equipment costs for this literally once-in-a-lifetime chance. The 2 out-of-staters paid $1,000 each, and the 22 hunters were selected by computer drawing from 1,266 applicants. Dave Newsom of Harriman is hunting with a black powder muzzleloader.
But from here on out, you're on your own. Well, that sounds fair enough.
There are some misconceptions about this hunt. First, the game department doesn't tell the hunters which animals to shoot. He does tell them generally where the animals might be. Buffalo are not tame. They don't stand around like cattle waiting to be slaughtered. They roam freely over thousands of acres of unfenced rough country and are hard to spot in the pinyon juniper. They can run for 20 miles without breaking stride or losing speed. But they are easy to kill once spotted. We are able to drive within 100 feet of them, and they just meander off. They won't break and run unless spooked. Bart Polson of Murray knocks down the first bull of the hunt.
This is something, I don't know, not very many people ever get to do. It's something that I don't ever forget, you know. You know, just to go with something, I would, you know, whether I shot it or not, something that you don't get to do too often.
Sherwood Albrecht of Bicknell had his choice of about 20 head, and to his chagrin, kills a cow at least 15 years old.
What are you going to do with it? I don't know. That's the truth. Eat it, but I guess it's too old to eat.
Might be, huh? Just about everybody who gets a permit gets a buffalo. Success has averaged 86% over the years and has been 100% for 3 straight years. But Bates says as long as the herd has to be limited, 100% success is their management goal. Reese Stein Outdoors on the Henry Mountains.
Top 2 college football polls came out this week. UPI coaches poll on the left and the AP sports writers and casters rankings on the right. The top 4 remain the same as last week, but Southern Cal has replaced Maryland as the nation's number 5 team. Maryland dropped all the way to 14th and 13th with Saturday's loss to Penn State. Georgia Tech is not ranked in the AP. They have Michigan State as number 17 instead, and Pittsburgh just barely stays in the national rankings. You know, an all-day check of scorecards of yesterday's Dixie 500 stock car race confirmed today, and he found out about it today. Donnie Allison won the Dixie 500. The recheck was conducted by officials of the National Association for Stock Car Racing after yesterday's confusing finish when they announced that Richard Petty was the winner, only to declare maybe he wasn't. They would find out today, and they did today. And the U.S. Tennis Association's world rankings for the year ending September 30th came out today. The computerized rankings have who as number 1?
Is this another sports
Yeah.
quiz? I don't know. Tracy Collins. Tracy
Jimmy
Austin.
Connors is number 1.
How come it was a confusing finish? I don't understand. Don't they know who won?
Well, somebody sat out a couple of laps. When he came back in, nobody knew that he made up those 2 laps.
Okay, thanks, Bill. Coming up, Craig Worth takes a little, here's another racing story. Craig Worth takes a little ride with history, and that's coming up next.
What was barren land 130 years ago is today the center of one of the fastest growing areas in America. And First Federal has been part of that growth since 1920. Today you can earn 5 1/4 up to 8% on your savings. Savings which are insured by an agency of the federal government. As in the past, the people at First Federal want you to know they mean it when they say, you can count on us. First Federal, a good place for savings.
She's been cooking this way long enough. Now put Amana Magic in her kitchen with a new Amana Touchmatic Radar Range oven. She'll get famous Amana quality features like this beautiful stainless steel interior, easy-to-use Touchmatic control panel, and the exclusive automatic temperature control system that cooks to the precise temperature you select. The new Amana Touchmatic Radar Range. It's Amana Magic, from us to you.
Available at ZCMI, Hamilton Electric and Spanish Fork, Kiesel Sales and Service, Ogden.
Blue Cross and Blue Shield plans present An American Tragedy. Nothing is so useful as the car, but many Americans misuse it. Blue Cross and Blue Shield plans are working to hold the cost of health care down. So stay fit. Walk when you don't need to drive. Together, we can keep the cost of health care from being driven even higher.
There's never a convenient time to have a sewer or drain problem. And it usually happens at the worst possible time. Now, these people are having company for dinner, and the sink stopped up. Now, that's a real emergency, and that's why they called me. I'm the Roto-Rooter man. So anytime you have a sewer or drain problem, call a pro. Call me.
Call Roto-Rooter.
For prompt professional service in the Salt Lake area, call Roto-Rooter.
Tonight, Craig Worth takes you for a ride in an old car like he used to have.
This is an Auburn, a classic convertible from yesterday, and a fast sports car, a real fast one. This is Glenn Cox. He restores cars and is known as a master of the craft. He restores cars such as the Pierce Arrow.
All right, this is what we put the luggage on when we have our rumble seat full.
Glenn Cox has been working on this car for 10 years, but it still isn't done. That's because there's so many gadgets on it, and it all takes time.
We have a golf door here where we put our golf clubs. This car was built originally as a golf car, and it has a special door where we have our vintage golf clubs stored.
It's more than just putting them back together. It's painting the metal dash as it was painted back then. It's duplicating the craftsmanship of the past.
Today, they just don't have what they used to have in the old days. I think the craftsmanship is gone, and just the general feeling is just not to put that type of work into anything. It isn't worth it, according to what most people feel.
And it's starting from scratch, turning something like this 38 Ford wreck into a 78 collector's classic. It's just because Glenn Cox loves automobiles.
I got my first Model T when I was only 13 years old. I've had it for about 30 years now. In fact, my whole collection.
Of course, it's a chance to relive a past era, a chance to forget the problems of the 70s, and a chance to marvel at craftsmanship.
I guess today's cars will just never have the class of an old Auburn. Craig Worth, Newswatch 2 in the rumble seat.
That's the news. Thanks for watching. Be sure to join us here on Newswatch 2 tomorrow night for the complete election results, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Gladys Knight and the Pips and Victor Borga join the king of insults, Don Rickles, on The Tonight Show. See it next on 2. Together.
Brown Concorde's getting a ticket.
Concord?
My Brown Concorde.
Why is American Motors Concorde such a success? Value.